Have you ever heard about someone who has never smoked, not even once, and still ended up with lung cancer? Because that should not make sense. For decades, we've been told a very simple story. If you smoke, you increase your risk of lung cancer. If you don't smoke, you're safe. But that story is no longer complete. Because right now, there is a growing number of people developing lung cancer who have never touched a cigarette in their entire life. And when you start looking closer, something much deeper begins to appear. This isn't just about smoking. This is about the environment, the immune system, and something most people never think about: your blood vessels. I'm Dr. Angio, and today I'm going to show you what's really happening inside the lungs and why understanding this could completely change how we think about prevention. We're going to walk through how invisible particles in the air can activate disease, how inflammation silently builds over time, and how tiny blood vessels can either protect you or help feed a growing tumor. And if you want more simple, science-backed breakdowns like this that help you understand what's actually happening inside your body, make sure to like this video and subscribe. I release new videos every week designed to help you use knowledge as a form of prevention. Now let's start with something that most people don't realize. Lung cancer in people who have never smoked is not rare. It now accounts for roughly 15 to 20% of all lung cancer cases worldwide. If this were considered a separate disease, it would rank as one of the leading causes of cancer death globally. That means millions of people are developing lung cancer without smoking ever being part of the equation. So, if smoking isn't the cause, what is? Because the answer is not obvious. You can't see it. You can't taste it. And most of the time, you don't even know it's there. It's the air you breathe. More specifically, something called PM2.5. These are microscopic particles that are smaller than 2.5 micrometers. To give you some perspective, a human hair is about 70 micrometers wide. These particles are so small that they bypass your body's natural defenses. They travel deep into your lungs, all the way into the alveoli, where oxygen exchange happens. And once they get there, they don't just sit quietly. They trigger a response. Your immune system sees them as a threat, and it reacts. It releases inflammatory signals designed to protect you. But here's where things start to go wrong. When this exposure happens once, your body handles it. But when it happens over and over again, day after day, year after year, that protective response turns into chronic inflammation. And chronic inflammation changes the environment inside your lungs. It creates instability. It increases oxidative stress. And it begins to interfere with one of the most important systems in your body: immune surveillance. Your immune system is constantly scanning for abnormal cells. Cells that have mutations. Cells that are not behaving normally. And this is something most people don't realize. Your body already contains cells with mutations. That's a normal part of aging. Most of those cells never become a problem because your immune system keeps them in check. It identifies them and eliminates them. But when inflammation becomes chronic, that system weakens. Signals get disrupted. Immune cells become less effective. And now, those mutated cells have an opportunity. They are no longer being controlled the same way. They are no longer being removed. And in that environment, they can begin to grow. This is one of the most important shifts in how we understand cancer. Because it's not just about mutations. It's about the environment those mutations exist in. Now, let's go one level deeper. Because there's a specific mutation that shows up very frequently in people who have never smoked. And it's called EGFR. EGFR stands for Epidermal Growth Factor Receptor. It's a protein that sits on the surface of your cells. And under normal conditions, it only activates when it receives a signal. But when EGFR is mutated, that control is lost. The signal gets stuck in the on position. The cell is constantly being told to grow and divide and survive. But even here, there's something important. Not everyone with an EGFR mutation develops cancer, which tells us something critical. The mutation alone is not enough. You need the right conditions. You need inflammation. You need immune suppression. And you need something else, a blood supply. Because without it, nothing grows. This is where angiogenesis comes in. Angiogenesis is the process your body uses to grow new blood vessels. Every tissue in your body depends on it. Without blood vessels, cells cannot get oxygen. They cannot get nutrients. They cannot expand. And this creates a natural limit. A tiny cluster of abnormal cells can only grow to a very small size before it runs out of resources. At that point, it stops. It can sit there for years, dormant, inactive, harmless. But if something triggers angiogenesis, everything changes. The tumor begins to recruit its own blood supply. It sends out signals, the most important of which is something called VEGF, vascular endothelial growth factor. This signal tells nearby blood vessels to grow toward the tumor. And once that happens, the limitation disappears. Now the tumor has access to oxygen. It has access to nutrients. And it has the ability to grow. But it doesn't stop there, because those same blood vessels can also become pathways that allow cancer cells to enter the bloodstream and spread to other parts of the body. And here's where the connection becomes even stronger. EGFR mutations can actually increase VEGF production. So now you have two systems working together. The mutation drives growth. The blood vessels support that growth. And the cycle feeds itself. At the same time, the immune system continues to weaken. Inflammation suppresses T-cell activity. Tumor cells begin producing signals that tell the immune system to stand down. And the environment becomes more and more favorable for the tumor. This is not a single event. This is a process. It happens step by step. First, mutations accumulate. Then, inflammation activates them. Then, blood vessels are recruited. Then, the immune system becomes suppressed. And over time, what started as something microscopic becomes something much more serious. Now, when you understand this, something important becomes clear. Lung cancer in never smokers is not random. It is driven by a specific set of conditions. Conditions that build slowly, often silently, over time. And that brings us to the most important question. What can you actually do about it? Because while you cannot eliminate every exposure, you can influence the environment inside your body. And that's where prevention begins. Reducing exposure to polluted air where possible is one step. Improving indoor air quality can make a difference. But beyond that, the focus shifts to resilience. Your immune system is your first line of defense. And its effectiveness depends heavily on inflammation. When inflammation is controlled, immune surveillance improves. When inflammation is chronic, that system breaks down. Nutrition plays a role here. Whole foods provide compounds that support detoxification. They help regulate oxidative stress. They support cellular repair. Fiber supports the gut microbiome, which directly influences immune function. Healthy fats influence inflammatory balance. Sleep and recovery help regulate immune signaling. And all of these factors contribute to the same goal: creating an internal environment where abnormal cells are less likely to survive and expand. Because once angiogenesis begins, once the tumor builds its blood supply, intervention becomes much more difficult. Prevention happens earlier, before the switch is flipped, before the system shifts. And this is why understanding angiogenesis matters so much, because it connects everything. The air you breathe, the inflammation in your body, the mutations inside your cells, and the growth of disease. It shows you that cancer is not just about one cause, it's about a system. And systems can be influenced. They can be supported. They can be shifted. The goal is not to eliminate all risk. The goal is to reduce the conditions that allow disease to grow and to strengthen the systems that protect you. So the next time you hear about someone who developed lung cancer without ever smoking, you'll understand that there's a deeper story. A story happening at the microscopic level. A story involving inflammation, immune function, and blood vessels. And most importantly, a story where prevention is still possible. If this helped you understand what's really happening inside your body, take a second to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you want me to break down the specific foods, nutrients, and daily habits that can support your lungs and reduce inflammation, let me know in the comments. I'll cover that in the next video. I'm Dr. Angio, and I'll see you in the next episode.